7. Let's go ahead and let's get started. So thanks to our presenters. So we have 3 presenters. We have Mike Carlton, who's in the technology department. He's going to be reviewing the iPad device for us and navigating the iPad, and also some general troubleshooting steps for some of the more common issues that we've seen on the iPad so far this school year. Then next we're going to have Eleanor Capati, who's also in the technology department. And Eleanor's going to be reviewing the Chromebooks and navigating those as a device, and also some general troubleshooting steps that help with some of those more common issues we've encountered. And then lastly, we've got Zach Tuckwaller, and Zach is going to be going over the laptop and some of the best practices around how to use the laptop effectively, navigate the laptop, and also some general troubleshooting steps for some of the more common issues that we've seen so far this year. All right, so with that, let's go ahead. Mike, if you want to go ahead and share your desktop and share the Google Slides, we can go ahead and get started.
All right. Can everybody see the first screen here?
Yes.
Yes.
Picture. I'm going to go over the iPad here and discuss with it about what we've been given to the pre-K and K students for Henrico. At first, I'm going to go ahead and show you on the top right corner of your iPad is going to be the power button. You can hold that in, and then you will see a slide to power off option. From there, you can swipe over and power off your iPad. That will certainly shut it down. To power your iPad back up, you will reach up to the top right corner on that little button, hold that in until you see a little apple start to show up on your iPad, and then your iPad is powering up.
Hey, Mike, could you hold the iPad up to the camera a little closer so we could see it? When you do that, that'd be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay, so now that the iPad is powered up, also on the sides right here, there are 2 buttons. Top one, you power for turning your volume up, and then you can hit the bottom one, the volume goes down. If you need to make a change on that so that you can make all ringer and alerts change with your buttons as well, you can go to the settings app, which looks like a little gear icon. You can click on that. You will click sounds, and then there's a little toggle where you click change with buttons. You can click on that. Next, for the home button is going to be the little circle button at the bottom of your iPad. You can click that. That wakes up your iPad. Click in, and you go into all of your pages. If you have an app open, per se, you click your home button once, and it minimizes the app. And if your mini screen's over, you can click it once, and it goes back to the very beginning of your iPad. If you click this home button at the bottom twice, it shows any open apps, and you can swipe up, and that will quit your open apps.
Hey, can I interrupt really quickly? I just wanted to say I can only see the slides right now. Is there another video going on?
So are you using the web browser?
Yeah.
For Teams? Okay, that's why. So yeah, Mike, you'd need to unshare, and then it should go to whoever's talking. So just unshare the slideshow.
Sorry about that.
No, thank you for saying something. There we go.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure where you didn't see. If you want me to go over anything, I can. For the buttons at the very top, let's see, right here would be the power button. You would hold that in, and then you would see a swipe. If you hold it long enough, you will see where it offers for you to swipe. You can swipe that, and then your iPad would power off. You would hold in the same button until you see an apple on your display, and then that means the iPad is powering back up. Once it is up, if you look on the right side of your iPad, there are two toggle switches here. The top one is for volume up, bottom one would be for volume down. If you go into the settings app, you can see that up near the top there's a sounds tab that you can click on, and then you can click change with buttons. That would allow you to change the volume for up and down for any ringers, alerts, in any apps. While you're in that, the circle button at the very bottom is going to be your home button. You can click that once and it'll minimize your app. If you click it one more time, it'll bring you back to your very first page. And if you double click that home button, you can swipe up and quit any apps that are opened up. For next, we want to go and show you how to connect to Wi-Fi for your internet. On these iPads that are within all the schools, you can swipe all the way to the last page. It's going to be a utilities folder. If you click on that, you will see your settings app.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Can you move the iPad a little bit closer to you? Like, yeah, there we go. Because I couldn't quite see it off the edge, but I can see it now. If you like hold it in front of you, that's even better. Yeah, there we go. That's perfect.
Is it a glare or can you see it?
It's a little fuzzy, kind of whitewashed. Yeah, just the lighting, I guess. But yeah,
Okay.
at an angle's perfect as much as you can. I just stop.
No problem. Once you're in this settings app, you would click on this Wi-Fi button right there. That's going to show any available wireless networks. Before you do that, you're going to want to know the name of your own home wireless name for your internet and for your password. You will select, you'll recognize your name, click on that, and then it will bring up a spot asking for your password. Typically that's going to be given to you from your internet provider or something that you can, if you change it, set up on your own. After you connect, you will notice a little fan at the very top corner near your battery percentage. And that fan is going to show how strong of a wireless signal you have, ranging from 1 to 4 bars. If all are darkened, you have full range here. And if you only have like 1 bar, you're going to want to make sure you get closer to your internet router, your wireless router, so you have a better signal. To utilize these iPads to get started, at the very beginning, once you power it on, you just click that home button, and there is no security code or access needed to use these to start right away. For many of the apps or some of the Microsoft Teams, Clever, and Schoology, you will need your username and password. Those you can get either through the parent portal or by contacting your school. The student's username is typically going to be with HCPS dash, and then it's going to be the first 7 letters of their last name, then their first initial of their first name, first initial of their middle name. And the password typically is going to be the first initial of their first name, first initial of their last name, and then their lunch code number. Most common apps you're going to use right away, it's going to be, you would move over on the swipe on the next page. You're going to see Microsoft Teams here. It's going to be a white icon with a T and some blue little figures. That's going to be one. Also, Clever is always going to be at the bottom bar with a blue icon with a white C in there. Many of the other apps you'll be instructed to use from your teacher within there. Microsoft Teams, when you first click it, and anytime that you want to use Microsoft Teams, you will open the app very first. It's very important that you open the Microsoft Teams app first when using that. You would click on that icon. It's going to bring up, you would sign in with an account. When you sign in with that, you're going to have to use the student's username, the HCPS dash, their name, and then also use henricostudents.org. Then you would type in their password that you're instructed. Okay, after you log in there, it'll recognize you. You will hit that home button one time to minimize it, and then you would go to the Clever app. You will click login with username and password. It's going to open up Safari. You're going to click login with Active Directory. You will be, once that pops up, you will be instructed to put in that same username and password. From within there, you will see many options like Schoology. You will log in with the same exact username and password, and that username and password will be for any of these apps that you use within the schools. From there is where you will see your meeting links for your classes. If for some reason, when you go do this and you try to click on your meeting link, and it says that there's offline or it's stuck connecting, you will want to double click your home button and you will quit all of your apps, quit every single one. And you can try starting over by going to this Teams app very first. And you would, it should be signed in, or if it is not, you can sign back in and then proceed with Clever and then Schoology from there. If you do seem to have issues from there, you can click these 3 lines at the top, click the gear that says settings. It'll be right near the bottom, and then you will sign out. Once it signs out, you will want to double click and quit that app. Double click home, swipe up on your app, and then start it from there fresh and sign in again. If you have any issues with Clever or any sites within Safari, one good thing to do would be to clear out the cache on that. You will want to go to that Settings app again. You will scroll down to Safari. And then you will see, scroll all the way at the bottom in blue, Clear History and Website Data. Click Clear. After that, you can double click, quit any open apps that are on there. That's about it for right now. It is good thing to remember at the end of each day, if your student is using the iPad all day, to go ahead and double click and quit all apps at the end of every day. That'll help with app functionality and speed within your iPad.
All right, thanks, Mike. So I just want to share a couple quick things. As Mike said, one of the important things about being able to use an iPad effectively, and the same is also very much true for a Chromebook that Eleanor's going to talk about in a second, and also the laptops to some degree as well, is really having a really strong connection to the Wi-Fi signal, either in the home or where the student is having their remote learning take place at. It's very important on all 3 devices to have a really strong signal to the Wi-Fi router that the student is connecting to. Another thing that's also very important too, and Mike mentioned this as well, in order to easily be able to get access to username and password for students, for example, primarily in the elementary grades, it's really important to know what your student ID number is, because with the student ID number, you can actually create a PowerSchool Parent Portal account. And by knowing the student ID numbers for your students and creating that Parent Portal account in PowerSchool, you'll be able to easily access the username and the password for each one of your students, as long as you put in their student ID number. And if you need to find out, what the student ID number is, and you're not sure what it is, you can reach out to your school, and they can help provide that information to you for each one of your students. Because the PowerSchool Parent Portal is a great resource. We're not going to talk a lot about it today. There's probably going to be a deeper dive into that in the weeks to come. But there's everything in there from grades to attendance to access to the RICOR online forms as well, which is a lot of the back to school forms that are completed digitally online. So there's a lot of resources there.
Can I ask a question really quickly? Can I ask a question really quickly?
Yes, absolutely, please.
So when you're talking about all that you need is a student ID number just to create a, you said PowerSchool account?
Yes.
Or, does that mean, like, if I'm a community volunteer, which I'm not, but I'm speaking from our volunteers, and the family I'm working with is having a lot of trouble with this, if they gave me the student ID number, I, as a community volunteer, could potentially set up a PowerSchool account connected with that child, or is that not legally possible?
So, so if you're collaborating and working with the parent or the family to create that account, it's going to ask, I believe, for a email address.
Okay.
It's going to ask for a password to be entered, and then once that's created and the parent is able to get into the PowerSchool parent portal, then when you're within the portal, you can actually use the student IDs and you can add the students to the parent's account, and that's how that works. So you could coordinate with the parents and definitely go through that process with them, and it'll use the parents' information they put in to set up the account, and then you'll use the student IDs to add the students to that parent account. So the student ID number is it's a sensitive piece of information, of course.
Yeah.
But yes, if you're coordinating with the parents and working with the parents to get that set up, that should be okay.
Okay. And then my second question was, you mentioned that they needed really good internet connection. The hotspots that were given to students, have you all found those to be providing adequate Wi-Fi signal so that the kids can access what they need to?
We have. So those are the T-Mobile hotspots, and we've got two different types of models of hotspots that are out there right now. And the results of the service from the hotspots has been really good in the county, from the western part of the county, which is very dense, up until the east part of the county. Now, the further we go into the eastern part of Henrico County, the less cellular tower infrastructure there is.
Yeah.
So the coverage is a little bit more spotty out there, but generally the results have been very, very good for the coverage the hotspots are able to provide students for connecting.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so next we have Elner. Did you have a question, Nathaniel?
Yeah, I wanted to just, I had a question about the iPads, and then also Kate just reminded me of a question I had about the hotspots as well. For the iPads, I know that you mentioned there was an issue with like Teams saying offline, and that is a problem that I've encountered with at least one student. And I did the whole process of resetting the network settings and everything, and still ran into that issue. And I was wondering, I think what I might have done wrong was not logging into Teams before logging into Clever. Would that cause the issue to persist?
Yes.
Okay.
That would definitely be the issue. Yeah, it's imperative that you open up and sign in to the Microsoft Teams app as your very first step.
Okay.
Once doing that, then you can proceed with Clever and then to Schoology and click their Teams meeting from within there.
Okay, great. Okay, so that that clears that up for me. And then for the hotspots, I was having a bit of confusion with exactly at this point in time for like newly enrolled students, how would we go about getting those? Because, for example, I have a student who was enrolled at Skipwith Elementary, and his family does need a hotspot. And when I took them to Tucker to pick up his laptop, they told me at Tucker that I would have to reach out to Skipwith's principal and ask for a hotspot. And then when I reached out to Skipwith, they redirected me back to Tucker and said that I should be able to just pick one up there. But and then I did actually end up going back to Tucker and asking, and they said that no, that's not how it works. So I just was wondering if you guys like have any clear guidance on like how we can obtain a hotspot for like a newly enrolled family.
Sure, absolutely. So I can speak to that, Nathaniel. So we up until recently, we've been issuing hotspots to every family that state they need one due to the lack of internet, and we're still offering hotspots as it makes sense. But I will share we're starting to transition. So for families that qualify, the first option that we're offering to families and we're recommending is signing up for Comcast Internet Essentials. And the website is www.internetessentials.com. So what that is that's a permanent solution where it's discounted service with Comcast for families that qualify, and it's $9.95 a month. And we understand that some families do have financial hardship and some challenges. So the Henrico Education Foundation has actually offered to sponsor families. So they've went ahead and they've bought a lot of codes for 12 months of service to pay that $9.95 a month. So what we're doing is we're asking families to first explore if Comcast Internet Essentials is an option for them in the area that they live, because we understand there are some areas that's not served by Comcast, and in that case we would provide a hotspot definitely. But if they're in an area that's served by Comcast, we're recommending that they go ahead and they pursue the Comcast Internet Essentials, and then the hotspot is a second option.
Okay, can I jump in right there? Sorry to cut you off. This family in particular, so most of our families here at CCC, we've for a long time, we've set up our families with Internet Essentials, and that has never really been a huge issue. This family in particular, and I'm sure this might end up being the case for a lot of our other newly arrived families, because of COVID and everything, they've had a lot of delays with getting Social Security numbers. And the Internet Essentials requires that. I mean, it's not 100% required. You can provide other documentation, but once again, using this one family as an example, they do not, at this point, being in the country for only a couple of weeks, they don't have much of that documentation to be able to qualify for Internet Essentials. I'm sure they would qualify if they had the documentation, but at this point, because of delays and everything caused by the virus, they just don't. So that is something that I agree that's ideal, and we always try to do that. But in a case where they just don't have, like I said, Social Security numbers or the required documentation for other proof of identification, is that a case where they would qualify for a hotspot?
Yes, they could qualify for a hotspot given that situation. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Leslie, I see you have your hand up. Your mic's muted, Leslie.
Margaret answered it. One of my participants is having a hard time getting on, and he was asking if there was a number that he could call into the meeting. But Margaret said that it wasn't. If they have a smartphone, the Teams apps can be down. Okay, all right, I'll let him know, Margaret. Thank you.
Okay. All right, if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and hand it over to Eleanor to talk about Chromebooks.
Okay, so my name is Eleanor Kapati. I'm a sysadmin, and I got the Chromebooks. First thing to go through with the Chromebooks, the camera will, hold on, let me turn off the background effects. All right, so the first thing with the Chromebooks would be you'd want to take a look at the top screen keys, because this will be your power button, and then the rest of them are quick like shortcut keys, starting from the left side. Of course, your escape key, same thing as on the Windows machine, and then the two arrow keys, that's like forward and backward, same thing on your like your web browser, and then a refresh button. Refresh button. This is a full screen, so just like F or 12 on Windows, go full size with your browser screen. This button here, little square with two lines, that pulls up all of the windows that are open, so you can see all of your apps that are open now. One reason why that would be helpful is if you're running into a little bit of slowness with your machine, you should see like how many windows you have open, like any tabs that you have for your browser. If you don't need them, close it out, because it is taking processing power while they're all open. But hitting that button will, hold on. continue sharing. We'll open up all of your apps that you have on your machine that are open and running. And then next to it, keys to lighten and darken your screen. And then also your volume buttons. There's the mute, then volume down and volume up. And these are also, all these settings are available within the operating system also. But those are just hard keys that you can use to get to it. Oh, and also connections on the Chromebook. You'll have one HDMI connection for an external monitor. No additional software is needed. Just plug it in and it should automatically start duplicating your desktop. And then two USB ports for external keyboard or mouse also. No additional drivers or anything should be needed for that either. So once you plug them in, they should start working. And oh, another thing is your trackpad. No buttons on trackpad, so it's just like with the Mac, where it's a single press for a single click or a 2-finger press for a right click. And I can show you the actual. Okay, are you able to see this Chrome desktop, the blue screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is the actual Chrome desktop. I'm remoted in from my Windows machine so we can see it. First thing here would be time and then your battery life here. And then this is your network wireless icon. So of course, all white right here would be full strength. And then as you lose strength, you know, it'll lower, go down and darken. But to select your network, if you actually hit the icon, it'll just turn off your wireless settings. So make sure you hit the arrow to get to the rest of the wireless networks that it's able to pick up. And then once you find the one that you want to connect to, when you click it, you'll type in your password. And there's also going to be an auto connect checkbox so that you won't have to type in your password next time. Once it's within range of the network, it'll automatically connect to it for you. Same thing with our HCPS wireless. When the Chromebook gets within range of a school, it'll pick up the HCPS wireless automatically. So you know, users can set that for their home network too. And then also from here, there's a there. All right. Also, you can control the brightness and sound from here. There's also your sign out, your power lock, you know, if you're going to walk away from your machine for a little bit, and then settings if you want to change any settings for the machine. Now, for students, you know, they don't have a lot of settings they can change, but there are some things they can do in there. And then, so let's see. On the slide, the first link is to this little Google Chrome document, which has a lot of good information. I can go through this also, like logging into not Chrome, Clever and everything. But one good thing on this link here at the end of the slide, it brings you to the Chromebook's Help Center. And, you know, this particular page has, you know, all like the shortcuts that are similar to Windows, like, you know, Control C for copy, Control V for paste. That's going to be the same thing in the Chromebook. So a lot of your you know, keyboard combinations work the same way in the Chromebook. But this site's really helpful because, like I said, it gives you a breakdown of everything. A lot of the Chromebooks, they look different, but they operate the same. So, you know, this works for all Chromebooks basically. And there's links to like setting up your printer and everything else. If you want like a little more information on how to do things, that gets a little bit more technical here. But let's see here. Okay, logging into your Chromebook, same thing with the iPad. The student will have to type in @henricostudents.org at the end of their username and type in their password. Now, when they're first logging into their Chromebook, they're going to have to type in their username twice, once for the Chromebook and then once for the Windows authentication. And again, both times they'll have to type in @henricostudents.org and then their password. Now, after they type in their password, they'll get another pop-up box asking if they want to remember their account, and they'll want to click yes and then continue, so that there'll be less pop-ups. It'll save it for a predetermined amount of time before it asks them to re-verify their account again. And but like I said, that they'll do that one time when they first sign in, or like after a couple of weeks after the certain time frame expires, it'll ask them to re-authenticate. But okay, we went over the power and volume buttons, the Wi-Fi. Any questions about like how to connect to the Wi-Fi or anything? Okay, now we're gonna go to the actual programs of the Chromebook. All right, so this is your basic desktop once you start up. The Google browser, just click on it. Yeah. All right, so well, I've already had these all. You should open up to a blank page. I had just preloaded it so I can get to it easily for you guys. But to log into the services that for the students, they'll just go to bookmarks on top left-hand side. We have their Clever, Schoology, Office, and Google bookmarks there for them. So they'll just click it and it'll load up to here, and they'll sign in. Same thing, with their username and password. Schoology also. Google Drive automatically will sign them in, since it's signing in through Google and through the browser, so they don't need to sign in again for the Google Drive product. Teams is there also. The Chrome Play Store and Web Store is accessible through the taskbar here. The little button here is like the start button for a Chromebook, and then hit the up arrow and you'll be able to see all of them. All the apps are on here. The Play Store, where they'll go to download apps that we've approved for them. And then also the Chrome Web is available from here. And that's where they'll also download like any extensions that we've approved for them to install onto their machines also. Yeah, well, one thing to know on the Chromes, on the books, the microphone is right next to the camera also. So if you're not using like earphones or anything, make sure you don't have any stickers or post-it notes stuck up next to your camera, or else you might be covering up your mic too. And Teams issues, okay. For Teams, they can open up the app, and I'll actually have to sign in with me.
Elmer, can you go back really quick to the Chrome store? I just wanted to mention to everybody that unless it has been approved, it has to show up in the Henrico County Public School Chrome store in order to be installed on the Chromebook. So students cannot go out to the Chrome web store and download whatever they want on a managed Chromebook. It has to show in the Henrico County Public Schools.
Same thing with the Play Store. These are the apps that we've authorized from the Play Store to be downloaded onto student machines.
Right. So that question came to me from two other people today, so I wanted everybody to know that on this call.
Is that the same for the iPad as well? I meant to ask that question, that they can't just upload or download any type of app. It has to be an approved app.
For the iPad, the image is actually set with all of the approved apps already placed on the image. If instructional technology approves or needs an additional app placed on the iPads, it would get pushed remotely from our server to the iPads themselves.
Okay.
They don't actually have access to an app store or a way to download apps on their own.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then Well, I guess to go through the troubleshooting portion of Teams, when following these instructions, do you want me to actually go through them and do that?
You could just kind of talk through them, Eleanor, because there's some pretty good directions here that we'll share along with the video. We'll share the Google Slides and the video, so you can just kind of talk through them, but you don't have to necessarily show them unless you think there's a lot of value to doing it. Your
Okay.
case.
No, it's just basic. You're just going to be going through and disabling that the option right there. It's going to be like a checkbox basically that they'd want to do. Another another piece that we've been trying to do is like clear the Teams cache. That's by double clicking on the app or right clicking, on the app, and then going to app info, going to more settings, advanced, and then storage, I'm sorry. Go to storage, and they can clear the cache and clear the storage. So that, when they're having issues with connections and everything, this sometimes will help to clear that out so they can start fresh again. And okay, filtering. So all our Chromebooks are filtered by iBoss. So let's open it up. So to show that we're filtered, not purple.com is a website that we. It's just a generic website that we use testing to show that to see that we're getting filtered. From here, we'll be able to see that we are getting the Chromebook filtering policy, and we've blocked this site. Now, if you're trying to access something that you should get access to, like teachers will have a little bit more access to websites than students. Few things you could do first, of course, you could try a shutdown of your system, shut down the Chromebook, just to give it a fresh start, or just clear the cache, which would mean go to open up the web browser, 3 dots on the top right, and then go to settings, and then from settings just scroll down a little bit to clear browsing data. And that's the same thing that's in our slideshow here too. That'll wipe everything so that when your web browser loads a web page, it doesn't load and it's already cached. So it'll force it to get a new web page from the server. Let's see. Yeah, here the one good practice with your Chromebook is to shut it down at least once a week. Same thing, with your Windows device, so that it does allow it to completely get a start. So if there's any services stuck or anything, it'll allow it to restart and possibly fix any issues that you're having. And that's about it for Chromebooks, unless there's any questions.
Okay, if there's any questions, thanks, Eleanor. We'll go ahead and Zach will kind of walk through the laptops for us, which is grades 6 to 12.
Alrighty, hi guys, my name is Zach Tuckwaller. I'm one of the technology support technicians for Henrico Schools, and this is one of the 3380s that we have that the students use in school along with staff members. There's no latch to open in the lid, you just open it right up, and then up here in this upper corner there's the power button to turn it on, and then on this side the F1, 2, and 3 keys control the volume. There's mute on F1, volume down on F2, and volume up on F3. And let's jump into the slideshow here a little bit. All right. So obviously to set up your Wi-Fi network for home and to get that going, you would need to, let me get back out of this for a second. All right. Down here in the lower right-hand corner of our laptop, there's a little icon that looks kind of like a fan, and that's my Wi-Fi signal, and that's your internet. So you can check your signal there by seeing how many bars you have. There's 4 little bars down there, and they'll be lit up as the signal is stronger. So if you click on that, that will list all the available networks in your area, and you can locate yours on that list and click on it, and then hit connect, and it'll prompt for the password. So you would add your password there to connect to your network. Okay, and to log into the laptop, you would need the name of the student's username, and it's usually like the first 7 of their last name, first initial, middle initial, depending on how common the name is, and that could be, it can start adding numbers. The passwords are created by the students when you get to the secondary level, and they're also changed periodically, but at this time we haven't been changing them, but they will be changed periodically, just in the students set them themselves versus elementary where they're more uniform. And Google and other services will often ask for a full email address, and that would be their username, which would be HCPS- that name, and then at henricostudents.org. All right. If we're having microphone issues, there's a website that you can use, and this works well on the Chromebooks as well, called Online Mic Test. And when you go to that site, it's a pretty regular looking site. Over here on the right for the microphone, you would just hit the play button, and you have to give the site permission to use your microphone. And I did that earlier, so that's why you can see the bar with activity. If that bar just stays solid, then it's not detecting the microphone. And I'm using my webcam right now, so I don't think I can do the webcam test, but the webcam test would work the same way. You'd switch over with tools to webcam and hit play right here. Now, sometimes in the rush to use apps on the web browser like Chrome, the web browser has to ask for permission to use the applications. And sometimes in the rush, you can hit block, or you don't see that it's giving you the permission. But if you need to fix that, like we've been doing a lot at the help desk lately for Smarty Ants, if you click on the lock up here, it will show you the permissions that you've given for a site. So if it's been blocked, you could just hit the down arrow and switch it to allow for either the camera or the microphone is needed on sites where students need access, where the sites need access to the student's microphone. All right, so sometimes the students don't remember their passwords, and they'll either contact the TST or the help desk, or they'll reset it themselves. If the password is reset outside of our network, or if the student's at home, they would need to connect as soon as possible to our county network. And that's because even though the password is updated for all the services, a lot of times the password hasn't updated for the laptop itself, and it won't make that update until they're on our network. And it typically helps to shut down the machine if it's on and restart it and log in again, just to make sure that that new password is accepted and working the way it should, so they don't get home and find out that they have trouble with it later. All right, so for our students on the laptops, we have a program called Software Center that we use for the applications that are approved by Henrico County Schools that the students need to install for their various classes. And that's actually, if the student hits the start menu, if they don't see an icon right here that says Software Center, if they just start typing the word Software Center, it will pop up as one of their options. And when Software Center loads up, it'll list applications that are available for them to install. It works best right now if you're physically on our school network. And in some cases, with the machines being off the network since March, they need to come back to the school's network to check in and get that list of software that's available. There was a process that happened in late August, early September, where we recommended students come to school, and the directions are here attached in the slideshow, the steps they would follow to get that update. machines that are newly imaged. So for students who are just enrolled or who are just starting with us, more often than not, that's already updated because it's integrated into the new image as part of the imaging process. And like was mentioned earlier for the other two devices, daily, ideally, shutting down your laptop will help immensely with keeping it running smoothly and properly. A lot of problems that don't seem to have any rhyme or reason can be fixed simply by powering the laptop down and powering it back on. And I know even for my children at home, because I have 4 that are all in Henrico County schools, that a lot of times they don't do that, and I have to get on them. And as soon as they shut down their machine and start it back up, something that wasn't working the way it should starts working again. Do we have any questions?
Okay, if there's not any questions, thanks, Zach. So with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. Like I said, we'll share the slide deck, the Google Slides, as well, and also the recording with Leslie and Monica to share with the community partners, so they can actually use these materials, with their communities and families. There's a lot of great information also in the slide deck that we didn't necessarily show today. There's some additional hyperlinks as well, but there's a lot of great resources in the slide deck that go out to other resources on the web that are available to families. So with that, I will share in the coming weeks. There's also going to be another training session that's going to be offered by the Teaching Learning Innovation Team. That's going to be taking a deeper dive into some of the more common software and applications that students are using. Things such as Schoology, which you heard about a little bit today. Also Clever, which you saw a little bit of today, and some other systems that are fairly commonly used. Just so families have a really good idea now of, okay, how do I use my device? How do I navigate? How do I get to some of these applications? And then that deeper dive in the coming weeks for how to actually navigate within those and make the best use of those for students as part of their virtual learning.